The final hours of his life, Everardo Mesa did something he loved. He danced. He was among dozens of people having a good time back on October 6, 2019 at Tequila KC, a bar near 10th Street and Central Avenue in Kansas City, Kansas. Known to loved ones as Ever, Mesa talked to Celeste Trevino, a young lady that he had met prior and took an extreme liking to. He introduced her to some of his family members, and the two proceeded to dance the night away. Every time we were out, he just wanted to dance, said Tony Maciel, Celeste Trevino's cousin. Celeste Trevino had insisted on buying Everardo Mesa a beer, but he declined. He believed men should take care of women, and looking back, Celeste Trevino said she wished he would have let her get him that drink. She had only been at the bar for an hour before the true horror began. Mesa and Trevino were together when two armed men walked inside and started shooting. He pushed her to the floor away from the gunfire, and she told reporters through tears it's likely why she got out alive. Quote, "He saved me." Celeste Trevino heard repeated shots. She thought to herself, quote, "Oh my God, where's Ever? Where's Ever?" Maciel was grateful Ever Mesa pushed her younger cousin to the ground. She described Mesa 29 as taking the bullet for her. He's always going to be a hero in my eyes. Ever Mesa was one of 4 victims who were fatally gunned down by 2 men, Javier Alatorre, 23 years old, and Hugo Villanueva-Morales, 29 years old, who walked inside the Tequila Bar at around 1:30 a.m. The men were known gang members of the infamous and violent Florencia 13, which originated out of California in the 1930s. The 2 men had actually been in the bar 2 hours prior, but were told to leave when an instigated argument and fight had broke out, and they were thrown out of the bar. Police were actually called and investigated and hung around the scene for a little over an hour and then left when they felt like it was safe. Little did they know the 2 men would come back loaded up, angry, drunk, and willing to go to any length to hurt anyone who got in their way or whom they deemed had disrespected them.
The bar, 4 people died. Only they know who did it. I was almost asleep and heard 3 or 4 shots going off, and all of a sudden people started screaming and running out of the bar, and that was it. I was watching for a little while, but I laid back down. I was too scared to go back to sleep. I was mostly worried about myself and about my neighbors. Too much violence wherever you go. And there's death, so much killing.
It was an altercation here. He ended up leaving, comes back with weapons and a friend, and they shot up the place. And that's why we have 9 shots, 4 dead.
And so your girlfriend lost her fiance?
She lost her fiance, but his first name's Francisco. He was a great man. He was going to baptize my 5-month-old niece, and they were trying to have a family. And everything was...
Managing my credit card debt was overwhelming, and it just wasn't a good place to be. My name is Carter, and Upstart helped me get rid of that credit card debt with a personal loan. Checking my rate with Upstart was super quick, super easy. It took me a few minutes to get my pre-approval and to get my interest rate. I got my money the next day. To just have one due date a month and only paying one person made my life a lot easier. Super easy to the point that I referred my friends to come and get a loan with Upstart.
Easy online borrowing. Personal loans up to $50,000. Go to upstart.com.
They were in love. It's going to change our way we come together, because now we're going to be like, what's going to happen tonight? You know, do we have to worry? Do we have to watch out for red flags when an outsider comes in? Because these people obviously were outsiders. They were people that don't come here every day or every other day. They're just people that were here to do wrong.
My son, he helps around that bar. I actually heard from one of my supervisors from work, and she told me, you need to go and check. Please call him and see if he's okay. I heard from one of his friends through Messenger that he was indeed shot, but he don't know if he knows that he survived, but he don't know which hospital or what. There's a lot of violence going on around. Somebody needs to do something, the mayor.
Hey everybody! Shout out to the sponsor for today's live Petivity. There's a very special deal that is going on through December. The Petivity Smart Litter Box Monitor uses AI technology to track your cat's weight and their litter box activity. We have the Petivity Microbiome Analysis Kit. You're going to keep your pet happy and healthy, starting with their guts. An important kit then. Petivity is reimagining pet care with a family of devices and health kits that can help you care more proactively for the pets you love.
I know they're just saying we're doing everything we can, but are they really doing everything they can? Because it seems that there's still more and more violence going on each and every day, every night. One of our kids getting shot, one of our kids getting killed. As a parent, I am worried. Everybody needs to do something and come in and help around. Any violence, any little thing you see, you might not think it's not helpful, but report it.
Tonight, we're learning more about the suspects in a mass shooting that left 4 dead and 9 hurt in KCK.
KCK police haven't mentioned any possible gang connections, but KCTV5 got a copy of the search warrant signed the night that Javier Alatorre was arrested. And in it, a witness ties both suspects to a gang called Florencia 13.
They've been causing problems locally and across the country for decades. KCTV5's Leslie Aguilar has new developments in the case.
They're violent, obviously.
Tony Moe has made a career studying gangs. He works for the Johnson County Sheriff's Office and is president of the Kansas Gang Investigators Association.
There's prevalent gangs from all over the country here. And, a lot of that is geographical, like I said earlier, is, we have 35 and 70. We're at the crossroads of America.
One of those national gangs is Florencia 13. The name is written clearly on a building just around the corner from where Javier Alatorre was arrested in East Kansas City, Missouri.
They've been around probably 2 decades.
Moe says F-13 is a subset of the Sureños gang out of California, a group that serves as street soldiers for the Mexican mafia.
You'll see Sureño 13 or Sur 13 or F-13 in this instance. The 13th letter of the alphabet is M. They're paying homage to the Mexican mafia with that 13.
F-13 also has subsets. According to the witness in the search warrant, Javier Alatorre is associated with the Locato set and Hugo Villanueva-Morales with the NHD set. Evidence of both those groups is in graffiti surrounding Quincy Avenue and 27th Street.
They hold certain communities hostage by their activities because people are scared of them and their retaliation.
Leslie Aguilar, KCTV5.
Yeah, the suspects in this case were previously facing 4 counts of first-degree murder. Well, those charges were upgraded to capital murder today by the District Attorney Mark Dupree. Capital murder brings with it life without parole if convicted, and they could potentially face the death penalty. Now, this comes from the Tequila KC bar mass shooting back in October. The Dupree says these types of acts can never be tolerated and they'll be met with the full force of the law. Now, the suspects, Javier Alatorre and Hugo Villanueva, also face 1 count of attempted murder, aggravated assault, criminal possession of a firearm, and 6 counts of aggravated battery. Dupree says he hasn't decided if he'll seek the death penalty or life without parole.
We will fight for justice for every victim in these cases, and that they will know that they have an advocate in this office that's treating these cases personally.
And Dupree says he has until 7 days after that preliminary hearing to make his decision. He also says he may look for more charges against Villanueva for leaving the country and trying to...
Accused of killing 4 people in a KCK bar are due back in court today. KMBC 9's Martin Augustine is live this morning at the Wyandotte County Courthouse following this case. Martin, what are we expecting to happen today?
Well, Matt, the 2 men will be arraigned on murder charges at 10 o'clock this morning here at the Wyandotte County Courthouse. This all goes back to the fall of 2019 when 4 people were shot and killed inside of a bar here in Kansas City, Kansas called Tequila KC. Javier Alatorre and Hugo Villanueva-Morales are charged with capital murder. If convicted, they could spend the rest of their lives in prison or potentially receive the death penalty. Early in the morning on October 6, 2019, the 2 men are accused of opening fire inside the bar, wounding 5 others, in addition to the 4 people they are charged with killing. Customers told police Villanueva-Morales was kicked out of the bar a couple of hours before the shooting. Police arrested Alatorre a few hours after the killings. Villanueva-Morales, though, went on the run, eventually captured in Mexico in December of 2019. The 4 men killed that night: Alfredo Calderon, Ebar Metza Aguirre, Francisco Anaya Garcia, and Martin Rodriguez Gonzalez. Reporting live in Wyandotte County, Martin Augustine, KBC.
We're very grateful that he was caught, but it's still going to be a little cloudy over everything just because it happened in the middle of our community. And a lot of people that were here and a lot of people that are from around here wouldn't expect something like that to happen. So we were here when the shooting happened. Me and my wife were here. So many different people here, so many different faces. And as soon as we walked in, we just kind of felt like a gloominess, like neither one of us wanted to stay. We were just supposed to have a drink and leave, just because we weren't used to seeing the people that were here. My nephew-in-law was one of the victims that passed away. It's just a difficult situation coming here and looking back to that day. Had to help my nephew, try to help him breathe, and was there to close his eyes when he took his last breath and had to walk over the other victims. It's just hard to come back to this place. I don't blame it on the owner. I don't blame anything. It's just hard for a lot of us victims to come here. Thank the news people, thank the KCPD for staying on it, the FBI agents that stayed on it, because this could be another cold case, just like a lot of cases around here. I'm just glad that he's caught and no one else is hurt. A lot of people are relieved. It's a big burden. We found out last night, and it was confirmed this morning, and actually a big weight off of our shoulders. Hopefully me and my wife will be able to sleep. It's been a rough 2.5 months.
What's going on, you guys? Welcome back. Another episode of Green Lit Gang TV. Much love, much appreciation. Hope you guys are enjoying your weekend. It is Sunday here. Had a little Christmas party last night for work. That was cool. Had some good time. Got some good food. A little work bonus. It's always good. Really quick, wanted to say, been a great year. I really appreciate anybody and everybody who has checked out the channel. It means a lot. If you are new to the channel, please like, subscribe, comment. Yeah, just put a lot of work in. And majority of people that watch my videos aren't subscribed. So if you have time to hit that subscribe button, it would mean a lot. If you don't, it's okay. Just hope you guys enjoy the videos. So anyway, yeah, we're going back to 2019 at a KC Tequila Bar in Kansas City, Kansas. And I'll be honest, I almost messed up. I almost said this was in Missouri. So I'm so glad I didn't do that. I remember, you guys are probably gonna laugh at me, but I remember back in the day when I was in high school, I used to listen to a rapper named Tech Nine, and he was from Kansas City, Missouri, right? KC Mo, that's what I remember. So I don't know, maybe you guys know what I'm talking about, maybe you don't, but it's kind of what I first think about when I see that, to be honest with you. It takes me back. But anyway, this involves Florencia 13 gang members. We're going to do a brief history on Florencia 13. I've done videos on them. They are a big deal. They've been around a long time. They're a Sureño gang set allied with the Mexican Mafia. They are known as Florencia 13, also known as Southside Florencia 13, or Florence Gang, or F13. It's a criminal street gang based in L.A., California, composed mainly of Mexican Americans. The gang is named after the Florence area in Los Angeles County. Yes, they are controlled by... Any guesses? Any guesses? The IMA, Mexican Mafia. They are involved in drug smuggling, murder, assault, and robbery. They have been around a long time. When I say a long time, I'm talking about 1930s. Okay? I'm talking about when my grandparents were born. Their territory, though, watch when I read this territory off to you guys. You guys are going to be like, wow. And you got to put Kansas now on the list. East Phoenix, South LA, Mexico, Brazil, Netherlands, Canada, Oregon, Colorado, Florida, Washington, Utah, Arizona. And I'm a little embarrassed because it says Hyde Park. And I'm not going to lie, I need to Google where's Hyde Park at. Probably going to get crap in the comments for that. But I keep it real, man. I keep it honest. If I know stuff, I know stuff. But I have no problem saying I don't know certain things. I get killed in my comment section sometimes, and you know what? I'm learning too. I love making videos. I love making content, but I am not perfect by any means. And I try my best to be. I really do try my best. But like I said, I have no problem being corrected. I mean, I don't want to be disrespected, but I have no problem being corrected. So somebody tell me where Hyde Park's at, please. Their allies are the Mexican Mafia, Sorneños, Pueblo Bishop Bloods, Harvard Park Brims, East Coast Crips, who actually used to be their rivals, Mad Swan Bloods. These are just different sets. Now, and I'm sorry, those are their allies. Their rivals, 18th Street Gang, 38th Street Gang. Those are some big gangs. Huntington Park Locos, Playboy 13s, East Side 13, South Los 13, and the Bloods. Now, Sureños are a massive gang, so there is going to be infighting. There's going to be sets that don't get along with certain Sureño sets. It's just what it is. I could be wrong, like we just talked about. I'm not saying I'm right, and correct me if I am, but we'll just use California as kind of what I feel like I do know, which is these Sureño sets maybe don't get along right, like on the street, but if you get locked up, I believe then you all ride together. So Playboy 13 Sureño in California, a Florencia 13 member in California, you guys are beefing on the street. If you guys get locked up together, you're riding for the race, you're riding for the Sureño set, you're riding for the Mexican Mafia, and you guys are going to get along while we're all here together. When you get back out, go back to beefing. I believe, I'm almost positive that's how it works. If I'm wrong, please break it down in the comments. I would always love to know more information. I always love learning. I feel like you should learn something new every single day. But anyway, that brings us to Kansas City, Kansas, in this tequila bar, a very well-known KC tequila bar. Javier Alatorre, 23 years old, born November 28, 1995, and Hugo Villanueva-Morales, 29 years old, born October 25th, 1989. Man, early morning hours. People are, by that time at a bar, depending on the time they close, right? I'm just thinking about laws or drinking laws where I live. Around 1:30, you're going to be getting last calls. You're going to be getting, hey, get your last drinks ordered because 2 a.m., y'all are getting out of here. I mean, like I said, I don't know Kansas City, Kansas, but it is what it is, okay? Now, apparently, the two men had been there prior. They had been there a couple hours prior, okay? They had had a disagreement with people inside the Tequila KC bar, left, returned with handguns a couple hours later. All right. Now, the whole shooting and a lot of this, most all of it, was captured on surveillance. Police, obviously, for obvious reasons, didn't release it, but there were pictures, images. You see some of the stuff I put up. Bartender Jose Valdez told Kansas City Star that he had refused to serve one of the suspects. And on Saturday night, because remember, this is Saturday night, but it goes into 1:30 a.m., October 6th, that morning, early morning, because the man had previously caused problems at the bar. Valdez said the man threw a cup at him and left, but returned with another hour later, or another man a couple hours later, shortly before closing time. So yeah, so reading that again tells me before closing time. So last call is going to be around 1:30, 1:40. Get your drink orders in by 2 a.m. Get out. Now, they both had criminal records, okay? So we're going to kind of read all this down to give you guys an idea. One of the Kansas City, Kansas, this is out of an article. One of the two men accused of opening fire inside a Kansas bar early Sunday, killing 4 people, wounding 5 others, was arrested, while the other remained at large. Javier Alatorre, 23 years old, and Hugo Villanueva-Morales were each charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder, police in Kansas City, Kansas said in an early Monday release. Alatorre, he gets arrested right away. He's arrested late Sunday afternoon in Kansas City, Missouri, but police were still looking for Villanueva-Morales, who is considered armed and dangerous, and they set the bail at $1 million. Now, Hugo Villanueva, Morales gets picked up in December of 2019 in, can we guess? Mexico. All right, that's where a lot of these guys go. They just dip south of the border. Family, friends, connections, everything you need. I know guys personally that have, and I know I get crap. People go, oh, you're just a white boy. I am a white boy. I've never been in a gang, but 10 plus years running on the streets, thinking I was tough, thinking I was badass. Unfortunately, had a nasty drug habit. For those of you that know what I'm talking about, by default, you're going to hang around gang members. You're going to hang around people that are in the streets. That's all I'm saying I was doing. So it's not a badge of honor I wear. It's not something I'm like, I got street cred, because I don't, okay? I held my own. I got respect by certain people. But no, I don't ever pretend to be more than I'm not. But I did know individuals, gang members, who would commit some serious crimes and they would dip out. It's just what it is because they have family, they have friends. You guys know if you guys know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about, all right? Now, Alatorre was arrested, near the 2600 block of Quincy Street in Kansas City, Missouri, with assistance from the FBI and the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, ATF, as well as the local police department. The two men had criminal records. Apparently, like they talk about this big disagreement. Around 40 people were inside the small bar, when gunfire erupted. The gunfire sent people running. So you got a picture, this is like a in a barrel, right? Fish in a barrel. I mean, 40 people in a small bar, probably intoxicated, and then, shots. No one's opening the door for somebody. Everybody's trying to get out of these small exits, these couple doors, as fast as you can. And like they talked about with these victims, okay, really quick. The victims were 29-year-old Eduardo Meza, that's who we talked about in the intro, 29-year-old Alfredo Calderon Jr., 34-year-old Francisco Garcia Anaya, and 58-year-old Martin Rodriguez Gonzalez. It said that the men did not know the shooters. They did not have gang ties. Excuse me. Even though Alatorre and Hugo Villanueva-Morales were known Florencia 13 gang members, this was literally just probably intoxicated, maybe high on some cocaine, get kicked out of a bar. The bartender, Valdez, he'd said, oh, yeah, I knew these guys from before. I refused service to him right when I seen him walk up. I said, yeah, no way. Threw a cup at him. The guy's an asshole. And they come back. And that's what it is, man. You can't emphasize enough with these gang members. It's about respect. If you disrespect me, I'm going to take it there. Most people, myself, most people we all know, maybe you get into a fight, right? Most people just leave, all right? If you really feel disrespected or someone said something to your girl or you've had a problem with somebody before, maybe you were threatened, excuse me, maybe you cause a fight, a physical fight. No, not these guys. Not these guys. It's going to be a full-on shooting. These guys are going to come back. You disrespect them, these guys are going to shoot you. That's what it is, all right? The bartender said he thought the building was going to cave in and that 3 of the people killed were regulars whose parents also frequented the neighborhood bar. Quote, I don't know what to make of it. A sad day for everybody who lost their lives and their families, he said. Choking up. How can you go into a place full of people and just start shooting? Alatorre was currently jailed in Missouri after he was arrested without incident at a home that court records listed as his place of residence. Kansas City, Missouri police, the FBI, and the ATF, with the assistance like a local police, rounded him up. They were scheduling talking about his first court appearance in coming days in Kansas. And that was from Wyandotte County District Attorney's Office spokesman Jonathan Carter. Alatorre doesn't yet have an attorney. Carter said it's too soon to determine whether prosecutors will consider the death penalty in the case. All right? Now, Villanueva-Morales and Alatorre each faced criminal charges in Missouri, and Alatorre's criminal record also included previous convictions, according to online court records in Missouri and online Department of Corrections in Kansas. Villanueva-Morales had a pending third-degree assault charge in Missouri. Alatorre, meanwhile, had past convictions for fleeing, attempting to elude, driving while intoxicated. He also had pending charges in Missouri for tampering with a motor vehicle, possession of a controlled substance, and resisting or interfering with arrest. And in 2017, an order of protection had been ordered, barring him from abusing, stalking, and possessing a firearm. So they're crazy, especially Alatorre. Stalking, so he's probably got a girl, they probably broke up, and he probably drinks, get high, and yeah, he's going to get violent, all right? All the 4 men who killed were Hispanic, but the spokesperson for the police department had said authorities did not believe the shooting was racially motivated. The shooting happened in a neighborhood with a large Hispanic population. Among the dead was a man in his 50s, another in the 30s, and 2 in the 20s. I said mid-20s. It's like, no, they're 29. That's basically 30. And at the time they didn't release their names, I had just told you their names. However, Juan Ramirez of the Kansas City, Kansas, told the newspaper, all right, that his 29-year-old nephew was among those killed. He said his nephew left behind a 6-year-old son and a 4-year-old daughter. Quote, I don't wish this upon anybody. And then literally in my notes here, I wrote blah, blah, blah politicians, because literally the next sentence is politicians going, this is senseless, this act of dumb. Man, the more I cover this stuff, the more I realize they do not care. I'm a white guy, and racial stuff is real. Police are good. Police are, some of them are bad. That's just like any job, right? Some people care, some people don't. Same with politicians, okay? You just can't blame the police. The politicians are just as bad. You don't think these local politicians, these local prosecutors, these local police aren't thankful that it was Hispanic on Hispanic crime? You know why they're thankful? And I'm not even taking it to where, they just want Hispanic people that I know. But you know what? It doesn't make national news when it's brown on brown or black on black or white on white. If a white guy had walked in there or a black guy had walked in and targeted Hispanics, now it's national news, which makes the local departments look bad, the local politicians look bad. As long as it doesn't affect their bottom line, their money, their reelection, I'm telling you, they don't care. The more I cover it, they really, really don't care, okay? Now, the community, once they found out more about these guys, they were pissed, all right? They were 2 convicted felons facing criminal charges over a Kansas bar shooting that killed 4 people, wounded 5 others. They'd had previous brushes with the law, and that could have kept them behind bars had judges and other officials made different decisions, according to a review of the court records. But observers say those decisions to let one man out on bond pending trial and to let the other serve probation rather than return to prison weren't in themselves unusual and underscore the kinds of issues judges often assessed to determine those in public danger. One of the remains on the lam, who was Hugo, even spent 2 nights in a local jail within 2 weeks of the shooting, all right? And you got to understand, this Tequila KC bar, these people in the community, they all knew each other. They all loved each other. So at the time, 2 gang members, but then they start releasing their prior criminal history. The fact that had they been tougher on crime, they could have stayed in prison. Now, Hugo Villanueva-Morales had been caught with synthetic marijuana during a stretch of more than 4 years in a state prison for robbery and had been released by the time he was sentenced for trafficking contraband. The judge could have sent him back to prison for 9 years, but instead put him on 3 years probation. Villanueva-Morales violated probation. He tested positive for marijuana. He left the jail in the neighboring Leavenworth County September 9th, a week before police say he caused a disturbance and ended up shooting the bar with 23-year-old Javier Alatorre. Alatorre had been released from jail in September across the state line in Jackson County, Missouri, where he still faces charges of fleeing from police in a stolen vehicle. A judge released him on his own recognizance after his attorney sought to have his bail lowered. Probation is the most common result in Kansas for a conviction involving trafficking in prisons or jails, imposed nearly 66% of the time over the past 3 years. So that goes back to 2016 to 2019. All right. The charges Alatorre faced in Missouri were run-of-the-mill felony cases. Run-of-the-mill. And it's true, though. It's like felony eluding, possession, you're peeing dirty, all that crap. So this is why people got upset. This is why people get mad. I'm torn on this kind of stuff, and I'll explain why in a second. And I'm torn because it's easy to have hindsight, right? It's easy to have hindsight 2020. It's easy to say, hey, look at what just happened. These guys are criminals, career criminals. Lock them up, throw away the key forever. To some extent, I agree. I get that. I understand that. But there is a system. There is a system in place where you have to follow certain guidelines. And, DUI, even felony attempt to elude, yes, it's bad. But you can't just say, because, that it's going to turn into a quadruple homicide, So I just don't think in this case, as much as I just said negative in, a few minutes ago about the prosecutors or state politicians and people that really don't care, I really do believe that. I don't think you can blame them either for what happened. Like I said, hindsight's 2020, right? So yes, they were on probation, they were on pretrial releases, maybe they got let out, they had violated a ton of rules inside and outside of prison, but there's no way that you can go, had he spent another year in prison, or he could have been locked up on October 6, 2019. Well, you know what? Maybe on October 6, 2020, they go out and go to the bar and then they do the shooting. These guys were going to do something like this, whether it was in 2019, 2020, 2021, it didn't matter. It was building. It was building, and it was going to be the perfect situation where a bar that they'd already been thrown out of, they got refused service, they're gang members, it's all about respect all the time, and the thing is, when you have very violent gang members, a lot of times the difference is, like we talked about, the level that they're willing to go to, okay? You and I might just get in a fist fight. We might leave a bad review on Yelp. We might go on Facebook and trash them. These guys are going to come back with handguns and shoot up the place. And they're not targeting anybody in particular. It's anybody that gets in, anybody that gets in their way. All right. So, and they talk about, county attorney in Leavenworth had filed a request to have Villanueva-Morales' probation revoked. In the summer of 2018, Thompson's office had argued for returning Villanueva-Morales to prison. The online Kansas Department of Corrections record listed 30 infractions inside prison walls. Villanueva-Morales still earned enough good time to be released in January of 2018. So, that is one of those things, but it's also infractions inside jail, inside prison. Could be anything. Could be contraband. Could be, you just don't know. So that's kind of where, again, just go back. I don't feel like the bar shooting was preventable. I really don't. I don't think it's about gun laws. I don't think it's about anything. You've got gang members who are just not good people who, under the influence of drugs and alcohol, acted out. And it's a tragedy, but it's not. You definitely cannot just blame one person. You really, really can't. You blame the individuals that did it. So Javier Alatorre, he gets sentenced February 2024. He gets over 30 years in prison for his He ended up pleading guilty. Okay, so he gets sentenced February 9th, 2024 to over 30 years. There was conflicting reports. There was one that said 21 years. I'm going to go with the over 30 years, so I read that in multiple places. He actually had pled guilty in December of 23, but they're different hearings. So pleads guilty in December of 23, sentenced in February of 2024 and this is one of the only articles that I read, they called it a mass killing, all right? Alatorre had pled guilty to 4 counts of second-degree murder. So, like they said, when you are willing to plead out, they might work with you a little bit where, yeah, you're going to get 30 years, but at least you can get the death penalty, and at least maybe you have an opportunity to get out, even albeit you're a senior citizen, at least you can get out. Villanueva-Morales is fighting he's set for trial. Again, you make these guys go to work, you make the state work to convict you, and they convict you, they will book your ass, and you may never, ever see the light of day again. So, yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the story. Just really was trying to change it up a little bit. I know I cover a lot in Cali, Texas, other states. Just always trying to bring you guys different content. But again, I wanted to cover this story out of Kansas City, Kansas with Florencia 13. These guys are no joke. It's the real deal. And I really hope you guys enjoy it. I'll be working on another video here starting tomorrow. Anyway, you guys already know what it is. Until next time, peace.